The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki.
Hello, welcome to the show. Here I am. It's Nikki Glaser. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Thank you all for being so patient over these last couple of weeks when I have been recovering from vocal cord surgery, which I just learned was spelled C-O-R-D and not C-H-O-R-D. I was thinking it was all musical. I've been embarrassed in many text messages thus far. Yeah, you just think vocal cord, you C-H, oof, and it's not going to autocorrect you. So I've been looking like a real dum-dum.
Oh, no.
So I am, this is maybe the third week or second or third week that I've been not doing the daily podcast. So I appreciate all y'all's patience in not having a daily podcast. You know, I miss it so much. You know that, this is pre-op, as we covered last week. So I don't know what my mental state is going to be as I talk right now, but I'm guessing that I've already started finding some way to communicate and put out content on my Instagram or on our social to get, because I'm probably going crazy in my own head, or I've probably completely jeopardized the healing process and started doing daily podcasts. So
my money's on that.
Yeah.
My money's on you'll be talking by Friday.
Andrew Collin is in St. Louis. I'm in Boston awaiting surgery that will be happening tomorrow. Noah is in New York still. And we have Anya, who is Anya Marina, who did our theme song. And you've heard on the show many times before, my best friend, singer-songwriter. Anya Marina is visiting us from New York. How is it going, everyone?
So good. I can't believe it's the last time we're going to hear that sweet, sweet voice for a while.
This little crackly crumble voice. I don't know what I'm going to do today with it.
I can see why you spell chords with an H, because it looks and feels like a little raspy. Like the H is like
chord. Yeah. My chords are going to not have an H afterwards.
Right. I wonder what you'll sound like.
Yeah, I wonder if it will sound like this. Like, even Noah noticed that in my earlier stand-up, my voice does sound a lot different. I will say that there's a lot of clips that are being posted from different like meme accounts and stand-up clip accounts of my past stand-up. Thank you for putting those out there. All those people that are doing that without my permission, please keep doing it because I don't do it.
And I really sound like this. Like, it'll sound like this. But it's also because it's going very fast.
And they change the frequency of it and they speed it up so that they don't get copyrighted because... So that's what's happening there. So that's why I sound like Monica on season 5 of Friends, where she talked like this. And she was always just like, Chandler, come on, we need to go here. Like all of a sudden, season 5 of Friends, Chandler's voice changed and Monica's changed and is really annoying. And if you listen back on repeat episodes, you will find that on TBS, TV Land, I don't even think that's a network anymore, they really speed it up so that they can fit in one more commercial. So they speed it up slightly, and that's why everyone talks a little bit faster when you hear all of the different reruns of these shows, because they speed it up a fraction, and in that time they save 30 seconds, and they make, $500,000 or whatever the hell it is in ad sales. So if you're wondering why shows like Big Bang Theory or 2.5 Men sound really fast, they're fitting in more ads.
And every comment is like, I love the material, but this bitch's voice, can you believe she sounds like a rat dying, or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like this. It sounds like I'm Whitney from Crystal's season of The Bachelor, which is one of the best impressions I could ever do, but it didn't really work out because I want to be a mom. And
her jokes aren't bad. Her jokes aren't bad.
Yeah, they're not bad.
It's her voice.
It's just like, my mom's an alcoholic. I don't like to say she's an alcoholic, but I will say she's a shopaholic because she's addicted to buying alcohol. Next joke.
That's good writing. That's good writing, for sure.
I honestly, yeah.
But I was listening to your bit, or I was listening to a show from, I think, 2018, and I was struck by how different you sound. Even then, it was the Luigi joke about Luigi going down on you and you being like, he wants it. Come on. It's so funny.
I was horny when I told that joke, so my voice changes when I get turned on when I'm talking about jokes like that.
There's a dog licking her butthole.
If I'm describing my dog going down on me, that joke was, even I go back and go, what's going on there?
You did 20 minutes on that.
I know.
It was so
and
funny.
I
It
still
was
have
20
more.
solid minutes, too. Matt was dying. He's like, this is insane.
People just
It's so
can't
funny.
believe I started banging my special with 20 minutes of a blowjob joke, and then I started this last special with me going down on my parents. Like, it's really weird that my favorite things to talk about are things that I truly have never, like, you would suspect that I would be someone that was like, it was there all along. She was telling us the whole time, kind
that
of
she was
thing.
blowing her dog. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you look, Chris and I were just talking about someone who, if you go through their history of, Armie Hammer. Have you guys seen the new House of Hammer
I
documentary?
haven't watched
Oh,
it yet,
no.
but yes, I know what you're talking
I want to.
about.
Want to.
So in the first episode, it's really good.
Makes me
The
hungry.
it's really. What do you mean? Why?
He eats bodies, doesn't
Oh
he?
God! Listen, that is not.
That was
I
such
had
a
to
Julie
watch
Glaser.
it.
Oh, God.
No, you didn't watch it yet, Anya. You were the one texting me about it.
I just saw the trailer. I sent you the trailer.
What?
Julie Glaser's
you were
coming
like,
out.
oh, this is ridiculous. I'm having Julie taken out tomorrow. God damn it!
Yeah, your
Listen,
Julie's going to be worse.
I watched
now.
that freaking documentary because I thought you'd seen it. You're texting me going, listen, I saw that. Yeah, because Anya texted me and she goes, I guess you said I'm watching the trailer. I missed that part, but she says I'm watching the House of Hammer thing. And these text messages that he sends these girls, I'm thinking Nikki would be so turned on by them because honestly, you guys, I put on the documentary and I was.
Can we have an example?
I had to put down
Okay, it's
a
like-
trash bag to sit on because the couch was going to get ruined. I was
It's
so
like, I want you to
horny.
be holes. I just want you to tie you up, sit there, and you're just going
you
to be holes.
be tied up in public and have everyone use you, and you have no say in it. Like it was about like just like
I'm like,
having.
this is her love language.
I'm not joking you. I was so turned on, and then it gets to be like I'm 100% cannibal. I want to cook you. I want to rape you.
Oh,
Like it gets
yeah, too hot.
progressive very quickly. Very inappropriate. And I mean, this guy is an alleged rapist. I mean, the way you learn about love bombing, you learn about just lying, the way it's fascinating because I think it just gives girls and guys a good perspective on how this happens, how girls kind of see a guy that hits on them in their DMs. He's a family man. They Google him. He has a family and kids. And then how they go kind of like, no, well, this is weird. He's kind of like hitting on me, but it's not that clear. And then how he then lies and says we've been separate, like how the whole thing works. Because I think a lot of times guys I've heard and girls who cannot relate to falling for a man who is married, falling for a man who says, I want to bite you. He left some girl a note that she was already in love with him. They had spent hours on the phone together and he leaves. He goes to her apartment creepily when she's not in town and leaves her a note that says, I want to bite you in half or something like that. And when, in the context of all of this is the first time he's shown that kind of side. She's just like, oh, he wants to devour me. Us watching are like, what the fuck? These girls are so fucked up. Please, when you watch this, be with an open mind of like, you don't know what it's like. You don't know these girls' experience coming into these relationships. This like kind of judgment I think that they get from going for a guy who clearly is married and might be lying about that. But even so, they like leave your judgment at home and really, I got a DM once from someone who mentioned rope bondage and who was a famous person that I was like, oh my God, is this person like, I saw a blue check mark. I'm like, is this one of those fake blue check marks where they like do an emoji in their name? Like there's that emoji that looks blue and can kind of trick
the Turkish eye. I
Yes.
think. Yeah.
Yes, you were using it for years, and so
Yeah, well, it worked out. It was good luck. I actually got
You
one.
got it.
I had
That's
to
how you got
break it.
Brenna. Brenna is blind.
I
and
think
so
you
she
piss
thought,
on it. It's good luck. Had to turn that phone in. Okay.
But I remember
Having fun.
getting a DM from someone very famous and going, oh my God, like, I know who this is. This can't be the real person. It's probably just the fake name and a fake emoji. And then I looked into it, has millions of followers. And then I was like, oh my God, this is the person. And they were talking suggestively about sexual stuff, but not not saying they want to do anything with me, but just putting it out there. And I knew that I could pick up that rope and have them tie me up with it if I wanted to. But I did it because I was a little bit older and knew that
you also hate Home
I don't want to get
Depot.
involved with a person with what?
You hate Home Depot.
Well, he brings these girls to hardware
No, he
stores.
doesn't. No.
Yes, I swear to God. So he was talking to this
Kinda
one girl
hot,
for a while.
'cause it's manly.
And she is, he just met her at a bar in Dallas. I think he was visiting, and she's just a business owner in Dallas, sweet girl. And she meets him at this bar. They hit it off. They start talking on the phone for hours and hours. Finally, he's separated from his wife. It's like announced in the papers and everything. And then she goes to LA to visit, and he convinces her to go to Palm Springs with him. And they go up there, and they go, after a couple nights, it's heaven. She's like, he's all over me. He's so attentive. He's so loving. He's so like lovey-dovey, like hand on my leg constantly, like holding my hand, like all these things. When you're a woman watching this going like, yep, I would do anything. This famous hot guy is showing me all this attention. I'm just a business owner from Dallas. I'm like, how is this celebrity scooping me up out of nowhere? This guy that has Oscar buzz from Call Me By Your Name. Like, he's successful, he's handsome, he's rich, he's all these things. He's a good father, seemingly. And then they go to the hardware store on like the third day. And she's like, he's talked about rope bondage, and she's just like not into it. But she knows it's like something he's really into. And, we all kind of make, what's
you want
it
to be
called?
open-minded and game.
Yeah.
GGG,
Yes.
as they say.
Yeah, GG. What is it?
Game.
Yeah. What's his
I only
name?
have one of them. Dan Savage.
Dan Savage coined it. It's GGG. Giving. I forget it.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
will you
yeah.
Google GGG against Dan Savage, because it is a good little acronym that Anya and I are both really strong.
You're
Yeah.
right. Giving, game, and it's
You
probably
guys sound like Quagmire.
Gastrointestinal
Yeah.
issues are not working that day. That's what I sound like when I come.
It's good giving and game.
Get off me.
Wait, what is it?
Good giving and game.
Good
yeah.
giving and game. Yeah, like you just want to be GGG, and so, or Gigi Hadid. You want to look like her because she just looks like she's good giving and game, and having G forces applied to her face in the opposite direction. So they go to the hardware store, and she's kind of just like, oh God, I don't want to do this, but I'll do it, and they're out of rope, and she's like, yes, like she's so happy.
So he's been there before.
Yeah.
They're like, again, Army.
They're like, we only have so much rope.
Like, what are you
in
making?
Palm Springs.
What are you making out there? He's
Oh
like,
my God.
It's put in the deck. The deck is almost ready.
Yeah, they're like, rope for the deck? Really? Do you have? He's like, oh, just the pulleys and the levers. There's lots of that.
Yeah, I'm doing an ancient style. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of pulleys and
Do you know how the Egyptians did the pyramids? And they're like, no, we don't. That's still a mystery. He's like, well, so is this.
So what you do is you tie up
don't worry.
90 women and then use them as weight to pull up a rock to make my new house.
I am not wanting to make jokes about this documentary
No, I'm
because
not.
it is
Not
grisly.
about
And
the
then the second
documentary.
episode gets into
Oh, it's episodic? How many
there's
episodes?
3, I believe. And Jen, my assistant, has watched the last 2. I watched 1 and 2. And it just gets into his family and how this kind of, abuse of women and it's generational and it's passed down, and it's like they kind of showed how to treat women, and but he is a monster. And I just want everyone listening, if you aren't going to watch the documentary, please do not partake in Armie Hammer jokes about him being a cannibal and how he's going to eat you. This is so far beyond that. And people need to know that this man allegedly raped his ex-girlfriend, tied her up, this woman he was seeing for a while, tied her up one night. She didn't want to do it, but she was kind of like, okay. He pretty much, what they discover is that he dates these women who don't really understand BDSM culture. And neither does he, because he uses BDSM as an excuse to get away with really abusing these women and having it be like, well, that's what it is like, I get off on you crying and telling me to stop, and then I essentially keep going, and that's my kink. That's my thing. And that's BDSM. Last night was so amazing. And she goes, it wasn't. I was crying and I did not like it. And he was like, you crawling away from me, crying on the ground made me feel so powerful. You saying no, I want, like, and So
I bet
I
this
just
is
want to
so
say this
common.
is so about rape. It's not about cannibalism. That is so what he would want this narrative to be, because he has an excuse of like, I was just saying fantasy things. Those were just texts. This is about rape. And if you look into it, please don't, if people are making Army Hammer cannibal jokes, ruin the mood of the dinner that you're at by saying, do you know he actually raped his girlfriends? And because that's what I've been doing for years now. Because it's just such a joke. I think that sometimes these things can turn into jokes.
Yeah, it could just be, it's so outlandish that it doesn't hit people.
Yeah.
That
even though he admitted to cutting a deer's heart out and eating its heart, its beating heart, like warm from its body. And that's how much he loves flesh. And he is 100% a cannibal. He says he's never admitted to anyone. Let me just say, you can say all of these things in a text. You can lie. You can say that maybe is a fantasy of yours. If you do it, it's a different thing. And I don't see any difference between cutting a deer's heart out and eating it and eating animals. So that to me doesn't really bother me. But what I'm saying is that he really does have these tendencies, I believe, to eat people and want to like, and he used to bite these girls. There's bite marks everywhere. He thought it was like a sign of like, I love you so much. And you're wearing, and these girls even convince themselves like, he wants to mark me because I'm his. But then, this one girl he's dating, all of a sudden she sees in the tabloids that he's on a date with Rumor Willis, and he's got his arm around her in a way. And she goes, I zoomed in on his hand on her, like, hip. And it was just the way he touches me. And it was just, that to me was just so devastating to see on like Perez Hilton, the guy that you're in love with, like doing the same things with someone else. It must be devastating.
So
anyway,
do you recommend this documentary?
Yes, I do. Because I want people to. I will say that there is one victim, Effie, who was the original one that started putting out screenshots of their DMs. This is the one that later hired Gloria Allred and accused him of rape and all these things. And she later showed her face. At first, she was all anonymous through Gloria Allred. She was Jane Doe, and then she came out as herself and is on tape and is very brave. And she has said, though, that the documentary seems to be, I don't know, these are her words, glamorizing what happened, making it, sensationalizing it. And she's saying that the producers of the documentary essentially are doing the same thing that Army did to her, of like, when she says no, they kept going. So I will say, maybe look into that before you watch it, but just do a little bit more digging on this guy than
has he come out and apologized, like a full-on apology at all?
No. You know what, Andrew? Do you remember that whole story about him working as a timeshare manager?
When we were down there? Yeah.
No, not when we were down there. So we were in the Cayman Islands, and Armie Hammer was there, and this was before.
Yeah,
he's from there, or his family moved there because they're super rich, and that's where you go when you want to hide money. So he grew up there a lot. He was, I think, born in LA, but so I think like probably 4 months ago or less than that, it came out that he was selling timeshares. And it's true, he really was. At first it came out, it was a fake store. It came out, everyone was like, he's selling timeshare, that's so weird. Then it was like, that's a fake story. And then someone was like, no, it's actually real. He was selling timeshares. He's been cut out of the family fortune. He can't get acting jobs anymore. And he was selling timeshares, and he was selling timeshares at the resort that we stayed at, the Moritz in Cayman, which is, if you've been there, it is not a luxury place. No. It's really kind of,
now I feel bad for the guy.
I mean, in a way, there was that in my head. That's how shitty it was. But
he does
anyway,
jet ski rentals too, I heard.
Don't go parasailing with him. The rope. Actually, you can trust him. He knows how to work a rope.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I wanted to say before we go to break that I really would love everyone to check out a song that I've talked about on the podcast before by The Natural Lines, which is Anya's boyfriend, Matt Pond. He is my tour manager. And he is Anya's fiance. Sorry, not boyfriend, fiance. And he has a new song out. And I really respect Matt for doing what he did, which is he went from being Matt Pond PA, which was his band name or his like name?
Yeah, his band name.
And he went from that to
The Natural Lines.
And what was this decision to shift into a completely different, it reminds me of what I'm trying to do in terms of like completely rebranding.
I think he had been toying with the idea, and then he got signed by his dream record label. Simon Raymond from the Cocteau Twins has a label, and he has like Father John Misty and Beach House and all these amazing bands, and they're based in the UK. And he floated the idea to Matt about changing the name. And Matt was like, I've kind of always toyed with it, but really, do you think? And so the label was fully on board, so then they went with it. But it is so scary to completely change your identity.
So scary.
He's already like, I've lost followers. I don't think people know that like I changed my Instagram
and they're like, who's
profile.
this guy all of a sudden?
It is such a risk. It's like, can you imagine just starting over? What would your name be if you just started over?
Well, a lot
that's
of
why
people
I'm trying
do
to
the
decide
opposite.
it.
Like they go from a band name to then their own name. It's not
Right.
usually the other way around.
I remember Dave Matthews saying he regretted making that decision as a young man to go with Dave
Matthews Band.
Also, Matt was like, it's not just about me. It's like all these other people I collaborate with. So it feels correct to make it a band.
Yeah.
Well, the Natural Lines is the new band. Please compensate for the lack of followers he has now, because people just thought all of a sudden they got a new. Sometimes you just start following someone, you're like, how did this happen?
You're like, how did the U2 record get on my phone?
Yes. So, yes, exactly. So follow the Natural Lines. The new song, "The Problem Is Me," is so freaking good. I cannot stop singing it. I sing it all the time. I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. I hope everyone listens to it. It might not be for you, but at least give it a listen. And I bet it will be. Called "The Problem Is Me" by the Natural Lines. I would really love you to support him. He is just such a good musician and has helped me a lot musically, along with Anya. But like, it is, we'll go to break now, but I do want to talk about with Anya a little bit about what it's like to like figure out when you're an artist. Even Andrew too, like you struggled also with your identity as an artist when you started out. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get back with Anya Marina, PA. We're back. It is our weekly episode while I'm recovering from vocal cord surgery. We talked about Anya's boyfriend rebranding like 20 years into his career, maybe more, right? I mean, this is a huge deal. This isn't just like a persona he's doing a band on the side, like Ziggy Stardust. Like, this is a dramatic shift. Matt Ponpier is no longer. He is now the Natural Lines. When you were coming up, Anya, one of my favorite stories about you finding your voice was you were in your car trying to figure out, like, what do I sound like? Remember that?
Yeah. I was listening to Liz Phair's record, Exile in Guyville, and I had a little tape recorder, like those little handheld things. And I was just like, I want to be a singer. I had just seen Liz Phair perform live with Jewel opening the show. Jewel was an unknown, and Jewel was so funny and telling all these stories and playing songs all alone on stage, captivating a sold-out crowd in San Francisco at the Warfield. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, this is what I want to do, but I don't have a voice like Jewel, who was like the Adele of the time. And
Had you written a song before? Did you play guitar at this point?
I had written like little song sketches, kind of like little, like 1 minute long things, or like little, but not really. I was just in my car singing into this recorder because Liz Phair had a very imperfect voice at the time, and I was like, that's probably what I want to sound like. More,
it's kind of like like it's kind of like she kind of sounds like she's got an attitude all the time,
like a jean jacket came
I
alive.
thought it
but
sounded like someone talking. Like if I'm talking like this, and then I want to break into a song, I don't want to sound completely different. Like I want to sound like. I have heard all over the place. That's how she sounds. It's like not too far from talking voice. So I was like, I want to be that. I don't want to be
singer-songwriter kind of thing.
Yeah. So then I was just playing around, and man, that tape is probably filled with so much embarrassing stuff,
experimental.
Like I just was like doing a head voice and then a chest voice, and then finally I hit something. I'm like, that's it. Like somewhere in there, I keep honing that, and I don't know what it was, but it's probably similar to what my singing voice is.
All I talk about with my vocal coach is like what she's going to really help me. The one that discovered the nodes on my throat and had this whole thing, this all happened. My friend Amy, she's going to help me find that voice, because I've been doing a new bit on stage and I kind of want help with it, but it's about how I don't think people realize if they're not singers or not attempting to be like, it's rare that you just start singing and that's the way your voice sounds. And that's the way Broadway has a certain, like, if you're singing like this, like very articulate and everything's like this. And then there's
I like that.
You sound great.
Well, yeah, it's like, I got up in the morning and
what did you do?
like, yeah.
What did you do?
You could get.
I'm really into
And I put on my pink wig, and I said hello to the birds outside, and then I started to sing.
Whoa.
Like, so there's that, and then like you're saying, there's like the head voice of like, if I'm singing up here is like a falsetto like in your nose, and then there's like down here. I mean, when you choose your voice, it doesn't just come out of your head. Sometimes it does. So I was trying to think of a bit about, and I did it. I think I tried it. Maybe I didn't try it in Vegas, but about Neil Young. I'm like, I want us all to like. I just want to bring up Neil Young and be like, you know. For instance, Neil Young, like I don't think you guys give a lot of thought to like how much goes into a singing voice and how weird singing can be. Because Neil Young is like, he was just like a rocker and he talks like this, man. I mean, if you've ever heard Neil Young, he's kind of like has a ponytail. He's just like a dude. And the first time Neil Young sat his friends down and was like, guys, I have like a song. Do you guys want to hear? And they're like, Neil fucking, yes, you've been playing guitar. You rock out. You have so much passion about like the Vietnam War. Let's like hear it, dude. Let's fucking rock. And he's like, here it goes. Well, I went into a meadow crying, and I thought about the bees. And they were like, what? Is that the old woman in the shoe? Why do you sound like what Susan Boyle sounds like? What's going... Neil Young, that voice, I remember the first time I heard Neil Young's voice, it was just in my parents' car. I did not know it was a man. And then when I matching it, you go... But you don't question it because you grow up with Neil Young. You don't question that had to have been jarring.
That was a choice, yeah.
To sing like this and whiny, cause I'm dreaming up. Like, that's not a man's
Rockin'
like,
in the free world. He does do some rock voice, doesn't he? I don't know. I don't know him well enough. But
think about
I'm
so
thinking of
many
horse with no name.
singers.
Yeah.
That just had to come out. I mean, I've talked about Bob Dylan before, like singing like this. And I mean, he kind of talks like that too. Eddie Vedder does like kind of talk like this. And Dave Matthews sounds like he sings. But a lot of people, you gotta like make, like, even then when Halsey sings like this, and she's a little baby, and she's talking like this, and like she had to decide to sing like a little bit of a little baby with big old lips and but
I hope at some point we can talk about Selena Gomez on Only Murders in the Building because she does talk like this, and this is her speaking voice, which actually
like
is
a little bit more like deep like this. Like yours is almost like too high because it's almost like this.
And
like,
then what's her singing voice like?
It's the same, Andrew. It's like, hello,
I had to lose you to love me.
But how much of it is
Selena
having
Gomez's
a specific
singing
voice? Like, it
too.
doesn't matter how good it is. Like, there's millions of singers that just sound pitch perfect, and no one gives a fuck.
Well, it's not about like everyone pretty much sounds pitch perfect. I'm saying like there are singers that sound like no matter what you sing, like you have to make a choice, whether the choice is not to make a choice. You know, like if I'm just singing like the way I talk, like sometimes when I would be in my voice lesson, and Anya, I'm just like repeating things. You should be talking about this more than me, but because I'm getting into the logistics of it, sometimes I would be singing a line like, I'm trying to think. She's so lucky, she's a star, but she cries and cries in her lonely heart thinking. And I would be like, okay, well, my voice teacher would go, hold on, we're just getting away from it now because you're just singing it and you're just repeating the way you've heard it your whole life, Britney Spears singing it. She was like, what if you just say those words? And I'm like, she's so lucky, she's a star, but she cries and cries in her lonely heart. And she goes, okay, now sing it like that. Like that is a good practice of like,
I love that.
And then you go, she's so lucky, she's a star, but she cries and cries in her, like, and then it brings out this emotion. Sometimes you got to take the lyrics because the lyrics get separated from what you're really trying to say, especially if it's a song that you've only heard sung. I found that was an interesting technique, but I'm really excited to figure out, because my voice can, and so can yours, Anya. I mean, your impressions are uncanny. I feel like you can do so many you could have chosen so many different singing styles in terms of how your voice is.
I wish I could. I wish I had more control.
Didn't someone
I
tell
cannot
you
belt stuff out. Like Nikki can imitate anybody. Singing wise, I cannot. My dentist once told me I have the larynx of an 8-year-old boy.
And he knew that because his circumference of his dick. He was like, it
I was
won't
like, what do you
fit.
mean? What do you mean,
that
sure?
was so creepy.
It's very specific.
Yeah,
we're
it
at
was
a mall.
odd. But he said my larynx is particularly small, which kind of made me feel better because I've struggled with like I cannot belt out a song. I don't have a lot of control, which is why voice lessons helped me. And I learned how to.
I learned a trick for belting that I'd never heard from all my voice teachers before. And I've been to 4 prior to this Amy girl who has changed my life. And she said, when you belt, instead of trying to put all the air behind it and push it out with air, hold your breath as you're belting, which sounds crazy, but it actually worked because I was working on this one, you know, the song August that we always play. That's like, the bridge is like, back when we were changing for the better, wanting was enough, and there's to live for the hope of it all. Cancel plans just in case you call, just meet me behind the mall. So much for summer love and saying us, cause you weren't that mine to lose. I always struggled with the mine to lose, because I was trying to put the breath behind it, but then she goes, just hold your breath and still say it. And it worked. So you might want to try that out. But it blew my mind because my past voice teacher, who was an operatic voice coach who was so experienced, so recommended, she was like, you always breath dump, Nikki, which is like, before I would say a line, I would just go like I would like so much for saying love and then I would breathe it out before I would start saying the word. And she was like, no, you need to breathe to push it with your breath. And then this other coach, I go, wait, I'm supposed to hold my breath. So it just helped. I don't know if any people out there, if you want to try to hit notes in your car, just try to hold your breath and sing it and not let the air out. But I am just like, even we were talking about this last week with Andrew about when he first started, when you're a comedian, finding your voice and like how you feel ridiculous because you don't have jokes yet, really. You don't know what you're doing. You're kind of throwing things out there. You have to like put out so much bad stuff to find the good. You got to sound bad first to find the good and to find what works. You got to like, to find what works. It's so rare that someone just gets it the first time. Like you're going to have to sound kind of ridiculous. Andrew started out with a character, Andy Shallows, that would just do one-liners. And he had a Wookiee playing slide guitar behind him to just like, and what a leap that was to start that way.
Yeah.
Before anything else.
Yeah. I started that I don't know. I think I was so scared to just be myself up there that it gave me it was a security blanket. And I also had all these like one-liners written, so I was like, I didn't want to just, I don't know. I saw Zach Galifianakis, Purple Onion, and he did it to the piano, and I couldn't play piano, I couldn't play guitar, but my friend that dressed like a Wookiee, normally, not even as a joke, he would just, well, guess for no one else, he would wear it around town. So I was like, maybe he'd want to do it for a reason.
It's so smart.
And so I was
because
like,
it's
it was unbelievable. Like it really was a spectacle to watch, and people lost their mind seeing this Wookiee. And he was like 7 feet. I put big shoes on him. He was in lederhosen, and I didn't make a joke about it. Was there a part of you because for me, I feel like I would do that because if someone didn't like it, I'd go, they didn't like the Wookiee. It wasn't me. Like, was there a part of it? Was that a part of it for you, or were you just trying to do something that was like so funny in multiple ways that there was no way to fail? I guess it was a little bit of both. There was something pretty punk rock about doing something so different. Like I was on a lineup, and it would be like a bringer
normal
show.
Stand-ups.
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, what do you do? They're like a Wookiee's getting dressed, and I'm like, oh, that's my Wookiee. They're like, wait, what's happening? And then everyone lost it. Like people loved it. Like the owner of the Improv loved it. And if there was a moment though, well, the Wookiee got a girlfriend, and it broke the band up because he chose her over me. We were doing open mics in Florida for like 3 people in front of a fish tank, and he's sweating like crazy in the Wookiee costume for 4 people.
It's a lot to commit to for a little open mic, and especially when you're starting out in Florida, all the shows you have to do and bring the Wookiee costume.
Did I pay him with compliments that he couldn't hear because of the mask?
Of course he didn't. But because Andrew wasn't getting paid, I don't think.
Oh,
but
no,
he was in it for the love, and that's why he got out of it. But it's interesting because you did listen, like going into it. Anya, you were inspired by Liz Phair. That's what got you going like, okay, I like that way, what she's doing. Andrew, you watch Purple Onion, Zach Galifianakis, and you're like, okay, one-liners, that's it. The music thing, that's it. Also, you picked, Jack Handey, Deep Thoughts, and that's what led you to like, oh, these aren't deep thoughts, these are shallow thoughts, Andy Shallow. Like we're all inspired by other artists. Like I always say, you know, I am talking right now with my hands like this because I imitated Sarah Silverman early on. Like I do Jennifer Aniston things of like, oh no, like because but that's just become who I am because it's what you pick up. My voice is husky because my mom. It isn't because of the shape of my cords. It's not because of the damage. It's because it's almost like an accent that you have. I grew up with a mom who I admired, who had a gravelly voice, and so I mimicked it. So you pick up on the things you love, and then you can't help but, as you grow, become yourself and find out what works. And then, but in comedy, and I know you've heard this a million times, it takes, what they always say, 10 years to find your voice. You heard that, right, Andrew?
Yeah, and I remember Tom Segura, who is a friend of mine, who I asked before I really started doing. He goes, "It's going to take you 10 years to just be yourself on stage." And I was like, "What, dude?" And like I was like, and now it's like never more than ever. Like I am about 11 or 12 years in. The problem I have now is not doing jokes or like telling a story and not like doing.
But that's you, dude. But that's what I'm saying. Like you found it. Like you tell stories. I love that you're leaning into longer form storytelling, not just joke, because you're capable of it. You've proven that. You did 10 years of doing that. And now you're always been a story guy. That's always been what you've gravitated towards. You collect stories. Your life is just a story magnet. The amount of stories you have is insane. That's why you have a segment called Andrew's Short Story Circle segment. So I like that I want... Like, not that this is the advice that this is a top, we could talk about this off camera or, you know, but like, I feel like this is who you are. Like someone will look at you someday and be like, oh, I want to tell stories that have such great jokes within it. So like, and your stories are already all worked out. Like, and they're interesting enough that they don't need to have joke, you know.
It's a different kind of laugh you get.
It is you.
So it's a little tough with the laughs because they still hit, but you know when you do a joke that's when
it's rolling, you feel like you catch a wave.
Yeah, and it's a different kind of wave. And my only thing is like sometimes you get lazy within the story because you've told the same story millions of times, so you already know how this story plays in your head. So to add a tag or to add a left turn or whatever to a story you've already told is a little difficult. So you have to kind of almost step away.
No, you're gonna be great at that because you're gonna get bored with these stories and it's gonna happen naturally. Like I feel like you don't even have to try to remember a tag you wrote. Just like
no, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this.
Well, having more time on stage is
my
just
God,
like
yes.
I've never understood it until I did it. And you just, one, you have to fill the time, and two, you just have to be comfortable in like whatever, not have crushing the whole time. And I don't know, and just having enough space. Like when I would open for you, it'd be like if I do a 7-minute story of a 10-minute set, then I would put so much fucking fear in that. I mean, it's ballsy to do.
Yeah, because if you go into it, you cannot bail, and then you are in a 7-minute set, and
then
they are with you.
Yeah, you can't just. Which I did with you still, and it like your crowds are incredible, and it definitely helped a millionfold. But yeah.
Well, I mean, you're funny. And so and you can tell whatever story and they have. And they're so interesting and weird. Like your stories are I'm almost jealous of how much you attract like the most amazing stories. But it's not even about you. It's not like, oh my God, stories just happen to Andrew. He's so lucky. It's like you worked for that. I was saying to someone recently, oh my God, this was a funny moment. I was backstage with a comedian and I was telling him how, you know, we were talking about our relationship in the past. And I was like, you know, we weren't that close because I was jealous of you. And that's what people are jealous of you. He was talking about someone that was kind of weird to him and didn't used to be. I go, because they're jealous. You got famous, you got successful, and they're fucking jealous. And I used to be that way. I used to feel that way. And he goes, jealous of me? And he starts listing off all these things like, you were jealous of me? Well, let me just tell you what's going on with me. He starts saying all these things about his life currently. And I wanted to go, well, not now, like now I'm not like the way you are now. No, I don't want to be that. But
you couldn't pay me.
Before I knew you, I wanted to be you. But the funny part was, I said, you know what I realized was like I'm not. They go, well, you're just as talented, and I go, oh, I know. I go, I'm jealous of your work ethic, to be honest with you. Like, I'm jealous of the way you work. And I know that I work very hard, but I work hard in a way that is really easy for me to work really hard. I show up, I do sets, I do a lot of podcasts, but the way I have talked about this a million times before, sorry to repeat it, but the way in which I feel like is actual work for me that I don't want to do. To me, work is stuff you don't want to do, and that's hard for you. That's what feels like work to me. It's writing jokes, it's going over them, it's listening to my sets, all of these things. Because I was being followed around by this reporter for the Esquire, and and I think I said this already before on the podcast too, but he's like, talking to us, me, Kurt Metzger, and Jesselnick maybe backstage, and he was talking about, do you guys listen? Do you listen to your set afterwards? And Kurt's like, it changed my life listening to my set. Nikki, do you listen to your set? And I go, I record them all, but no, I don't do that. It's excruciating. And he's like, you got it. And I go, of course I know that. I go, and John the McDermott, who's interviewing me, he's like, why don't you? And I go, because I don't. It's hard, and I don't like listening to myself. And I go, I know I would be such a better comic if I did it. And he goes, but what? So you're leaving that on? And I'm like, I'm successful enough. I know I could be more, but this is fine. At some point you go, it's too uncomfortable, and I'm happy with not doing that in order to just, not do that. But what I said to this person was, and I think it's the first time I've ever told someone who is extremely successful that I said, we are just as talented. You just work harder. Like, your talent is, there's nothing different about you and I, which is true for everyone. The thing about that's the difference between you and Beyonce, and I'm talking to you, listener, and Beyonce, or you and anyone that you go, wow, there are certain people that, yes, Jamie Foxx, I think, Beyonce, there are people that are born with like just talent in their bones, but it is hours of work. The Jackson 5 did not have a childhood. All they did was sing and dance and practice more hours a day than your dad worked in the coal mine. Like, they didn't have a life. So the difference between you and the most talented person is always 99% of the time going to be that they worked harder. So when I told this person, I go, oh, I'm not jealous of, like, I know we have the same brain capable of the same things. I'm a genius just like you are comedically. You just work you're just a harder worker. Yeah. And they seem to be offended, which I understand, because everyone wants to think that talent is like them. Innate. I'm special. And the truth is, even if it was special, you didn't choose your brain. You just got lucky that you got it. But people want to feel like, no, I'm smarter, I'm different. And yes, of course there's different styles, but really, it was just interesting to see this person's face fall kind of when I go, oh, no, I'm not jealous of like your talent. Like, we're just our brains are equally capable of the same comedic genius, for sure. And I was even giving them a compliment because I think I'm pretty good at comedy. I was saying, oh, we're equal. You work harder than me. And so you're going to be more successful and you're going to be better. And I could just see them being a little bit insulted and I realized at the time I would be too. But the truth is, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
I was thinking about, like, granted, I'm literally one headlining set into headlining, so it's like so ridiculous to even talk about. But it does make. But
as a headliner,
But as a headliner, as being a headliner, when you would do 5 in a weekend, talking about doing the work and doing the time, like, there is no way to, other than if you fold in every fucking show, then to get better. So you were doing, like, when you were tired on Sunday, I kind of understood it, but didn't really. Like, I did, and then I was like, oh my God, this is the most draining thing on earth. And it is doing the work and just doing, like, well, I don't record my set, I don't listen to my, all that, whatever.
It's still work, for
it's
sure.
It's still work. So
100%.
Like, I don't know. So, like, I learned a lot.
But I'm getting paid for that work.
Huh? You do get paid, and you get paid pretty well.
Even the sets I do that I don't get paid for, that's work too. But for me, showing up and doing a set is not as much work as me sitting at a computer and writing out a joke. So that's what I mean. But
agreed. But I'm just saying, like, that 5 hours, like, that's a lot. And no, but I was getting to the point of, like,
sorry,
when you're like, oh, stand up. Like, I remember, I'd get off stage and I'd be like, I can't believe they were laughing so hard. I did 1 hour, one time, and I was like, all right, I'm good for a while. Like, I don't need this drug.
Yeah, that's
and
the
then
difference.
You did it for 16 years, 5 shows a weekend. granted, it's going to get you sharp, but you're also going to have a loathing for it in a way that I understood finally.
Of like, it's over. Like, the show's over. Let's go home. I don't need to like we don't need to go celebrate this set and keep the party going.
I can't imagine.
It's a little like, is that all there is?
Yeah, or it's just like the job's over. Like,
that.
I'm done with my shift. It's not like the first day on the job kind of thing where it's like sometimes you work at a job and you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's new. I'm having fun. I'm meeting all these new people, and you have that energy. But I just think it's important for myself, I think, more than anything, to realize that, and I talked about this a million times, if you're feeling bad about yourself, comparing yourself to someone, the difference between you looking a certain way that you want to look, between you being successful in your career in a certain way, a lot of times it's just luck, as it always really is when it comes down to it. But it's not because you're like stupider or less talented. It's just the way in which you work and your stamina. And you do have the talent in you, you just might not have the stamina. And that's a little bit easier of a pill to swallow for me. Anya, is any of this resonating with you in terms of like
it makes
when
me
you
think
compare yourself?
It makes me think about, I took this acting program once, and Richard Dreyfuss was one of the teachers, and he said, success is talent plus ambition. And some people have a lot of talent and not a lot of ambition, and they won't be as successful. Some people have a shit ton of ambition, not that much talent, they'll be successful. But, all of us know someone mediocre who's incredibly famous. They don't have a lot of talent, but they have a ton of drive.
Or someone who is so talented, and you go, how are they not the most famous person alive?
Yeah, they're like sitting in their bedroom writing the most incredible songs, but they don't want to get a manager or an agent, or they don't want to like be on TikTok all day. I get it. Like, the music business has changed so much. I can't stand being online and doing the thing. Like, this is part of being famous now. Like, people don't really listen to full songs that often, or full albums. Like, they want you to do a viral video. It's like, do I want to do that? I don't know.
Well, Anya, I was thinking, like, it's been so nice because on our girls chat, Anya has been sharing, she joined a songwriting group, which I know you were like a little even reluctant to do, which would be such an interesting thing to do, a joke writing group where like you get a subject. So tell us about this joke writing or this songwriting group.
I would love to join a joke writing group too. Just as like a novice.
Should do it, honestly.
Learn. That would be so fun.
I should get a group together of people because we would all have to write a joke about one subject. So tell us how it works. And
I've been in this group.
There are amazing people in this group.
Yeah, Bob Schneider out of Austin, Texas, who's an incredible singer-songwriter, started it decades ago. I first joined like 20 years ago, and I've written like half of my records are because of that group. So every Friday you get an assignment, and the phrase is, let's say like, calendar boy. I just invented that. So you have to put calendar boy in a song, and it's due Tuesday. So you have like 4 or 5 days, 4 days to write calendar boy, and so we had one last week. The assignment was irregardlessly, which is obviously not a word.
No.
This was
Earrapé.
It was Earrapé, and that's the song I wrote. It was an ear rape.
Anya wrote a song called Earrapé. And she's been sharing these songs.
Serious.
Before she joined this group again, she was like, I kind of don't want to because like I feel like it's going to be bad and I'm not going to have it in on time. And there's other people in this group, and like everyone hears it. And like,
I haven't written in years. I'm like, I lost it. Maybe I lost it.
Yeah. But you're held accountable.
She wrote this Earrapé song.
Yeah.
It is so good.
The cool thing is
there's
no feedback. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. There's no feedback though. Like no one will, people can say great job, but it's sort of almost encouraged. There's never been any rules, but no one will write back usually and be like, that's amazing. It's just like, you just turn it in. And Bob's whole philosophy is just do the song. Who gives a shit if it's a shitty song? Just get it done. And then you get kicked out of the group if you don't turn a song in.
The rule is don't be afraid to sound bad. Just get it done, because something bad is going to teach you something that's going to lead to something good, rather than doing nothing because you're scared of being bad. We got to go to break. I wish we could hear the Earrapé song because it has been in my head, but it is so good. And
we got to play it.
It feels like you did get your mojo back.
I can send it to you. It's embarrassing.
Maybe we'll listen to it as we go to break right now. This is Earrapé, a little bit of Earrapé from Anya Marina.
Either mispronounced or fake, I can't stand those words you say. found themselves along the way. Sometimes I miss yesterday. Earrapé, rappé, earrapé, rappé, earrapé. Ear-rape. Cantin, hear these ear-rapes. Nuclear reality, uncomfortability. Nuclear reality, disregardlessly. Nuclear reality, uncomfortability. Nuclear reality, disregardlessly.
All right, we're back. Let's get to it. We've got a lot to get through, and we not have a lot of time because I talk too much. Let's get to Fanthrax. It's time for Fanthrax. These are your voicemails from our fans. We love to hear it. Let's get to it.
All right, let's start off with a voicemail from Benji.
Hey, Nikki, Andrew, and Noah. Love the pod. Bestie here from New York.
Hi, Benji.
I just feel like Nikki would love this story, but me and a friend went out last night to go to this random bar, and when we got there, they were like, "Are you two here for the Taylor Swift party that's happening downstairs?" And we were like, we had absolutely no idea that was a thing, but yes, we are 100% here for it. And we just danced for 3 hours in a room full of Swifties to all of her best songs. I mean, all of her songs are her best songs, but it was
Like
maybe the best night of my life. And I felt like Nikki would totally love the idea of just dancing with a room full of Swifties.
I've seen
but
it.
apparently they do it like
She's
every 2
never
weeks in New
happier.
York. So if you're ever around, you should totally go check it out. It is totally a vibe.
Benji, thank you so much. I have been to one of these, and they happen everywhere.
Or is it
If you're a
Philadelphia,
Swift-
right?
Yeah, we went to one in
all went.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There's one coming up in St. Louis I'm going to go to. The last one turned into a super spreader event, but this one, but they happen everywhere if you're a Swiftie, and they actually are happening with all types of music. So if you're a fan of a certain band that has a big following, chances are there will be like a sing-along thing to go to. It is so, it's the closest you can get to going to a concert. Because first of all, at concerts, everyone sings along anyway,
not about
so
the
you don't
artist,
even hear
though.
the artist. It is so fun, and it reminded me of like maybe that's something I can go to during my vocal rest, as long as I do not sing, or because sometimes when I think I'm not singing and I'm just like
still
mouthing,
coming out.
it does come out. But man, it is.
I love a
it's-
stumble on something great, you know? That happens in New York more than anywhere. You just stumble and you're like, oh, I remember I stumbled and Blues Traveler was playing, the guy from Blues Traveler with the basses from Fish in like a little bar. And I was like, oh, look at this. Tuesday night.
Wait, what's that guy's name again?
John Popper.
John.
Yeah, harmonica vest. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but like that, I love a
That's
stumble,
awesome.
you know? Have
Trying
you
to
ever
think of if
stumbled
I've
into
ever
anything?
stumbled into something so awesome?
Comedians' birthday parties. Gonorrhea.
Man,
Was that the same party?
it's a comedian named Gonorrhea.
Oh, he's great. That's
He
Earthquake's
does
opener.
one-liners. Yeah. No, I'm sure I've stumbled. I mean, literally, I've stumbled a lot, but nothing comes to mind now. I'm sure there's one that I'm just gonna think of in 1 hour and be like, oh, that was the best stumble. But this is a stumble in and of itself. Let's get to the next Fanthrax.
Okay, here's a mispronunciation from Mary.
Hi, Nikki, Andrew, Noah. This is Mary from Kansas City, and I am calling in with a mispronunciation, and it's actually from Wednesday's episode, and I hope I don't sound like a brat for pointing this out.
What
and
did I
may
do?
not be the first, but I laughed out loud every single time I heard Andrew say ocular implant, and he was so consistent. And there was no question in his voice. And I just kept picturing people having eyeballs implanted or transplanted. Instead of probably what he meant was cochlear implant.
Cochlear.
Yeah, I like Nikki didn't know until the end.
Anyway, thank you for the laugh. You always provide the laughs, even if it's unintentional.
Yeah.
Nikki, hope all goes well with your surgery.
Sweet.
And
Thank you.
have a great day.
Thank you. What's her name again? She's in Kansas City. Mary in Kansas City. I'm almost more embarrassed I didn't catch it than Andrew should be that he said it.
There was a lot of conversation
I've said it
about
multiple
it.
times.
I think it's a cochlear. I've always heard it pronounced, not cochlear, but nuclear. A nuclear implant.
That's in my song. Nuclear.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's in your Earrapé song. My favorite thing, I don't remember when we were talking about cochlear implants.
My Aunt
but it
Nancy
is so
has
fun.
had ocular implants, apparently.
Oh my God.
But she got blue eyes.
No, when my favorite thing is when babies get them and they hear for the first time their mama's voice, and then they
turn
start
it off.
But this is my favorite. This is my impression.
You hear Julie's voice, you're like, I'm good for another 18.
You have to see the YouTube of me doing the impression of a baby with a cochlear implant. Okay, so I'm just a baby being like,
hey, baby. Hey, no, over here, baby. It's mommy. Mommy's here.
They jolt their head in such a way and then just stare like. But I love the
like
initial. As soon as it turns on, they're like.
The jolt.
So sweet. Have you ever seen YouTubes of colorblind children wearing glasses?
It's one of the biggest things
They can
I
see
ever cry
color.
out. I want my boyfriend to be colorblind so bad, so on our wedding day I can get him that and he can cry.
I get mad at those
love it.
videos a little.
Why?
Because
they see color for the first time, and reminds you how beautiful the world is.
I get that, but these parents, what are you saving? Like, how much are these glasses? They could have got them 5 years ago.
$600.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's
a lot of people cannot afford that, Andrew.
No, I know that. Okay,
Or they
I
might
guess
not
so.
have existed then.
Yeah.
Well, how long have they existed for? I'm just saying,
They've
like,
existed for a
11
while,
months.
I
okay.
do think though that they are so expensive and like.
Are they though?
I will.
How much
can
do
I just
we?
say,
How much are they? Do we
they're
know?
probably. I'm guessing around $600, but that's probably close enough. But that is a lot of money for some people.
Just
and
get
I
them
want to
some
just
blue
say,
blockers and have
the
them
other
see
day
blue the whole time.
on Reddit, there's this subreddit called Thrift Store Finds. And there's a thing called, if someone finds something and they just don't buy it, they say catch and release, and they just like show a picture of it and go like, it's awesome, but I couldn't buy it. And it was a picture of Bob Saget that says, you're cool, you're too cool, love Bob Saget. Not to anyone, a great little frame picture of Bob Saget. And it said catch and release, and everyone in the thing is like, he's dead, get it, this is so cool, like he died, like that's probably not worth something, or just, worth something for the fact that it's him. And the guy goes, it was $5. I don't have the money for that.
Oh.
And it really put things in perspective of like,
well, now I feel
some
egg
people
on my
don't,
head.
and everyone just goes, it was $5. That is worth skipping a meal, whatever. It's like, and the person was like, I'm here to like buy clothing for my children. I'm not buying a framed picture of Bob Saget on the off chance that and the person didn't even know he was dead. And, but it put it in perspective of like, you don't get to just, I don't know. I was yesterday going from London to Boston. We were, the drive to the airport was supposed to be a half hour, and it was a 2 hours to get in traffic.
And when you leave to the airport, I don't understand how you made your flight still.
Because we left in enough time. Like we got there an hour before our flight took off, and we were able to check bags up to an hour before.
Yeah.
Thank God. And it was dead. Heathrow was dead. But I was thinking, I said to Chris, it's fine because there are flights tomorrow out. I was looking, I could buy them. And I go, because I have money. But what the fuck? Your life is so...
Well, you don't go to London.
There's no... Well, what if you save up for London and something happens where, like, there was an accident or the weather or something? It's like, everyone's just... And I used to feel this way too, of like, I remember I used to have a joke about looking at a box of Tampax pearls and being like, someday when my ticket comes in, I can have pearls, and really feeling that way. And I think I can lose perspective sometimes, but I used to think the same thing about those glasses. So I'm not making you feel like a jerk about it being like, why doesn't everyone get them to see color? But $600 is a fuck ton of money, especially if you have kids.
They're under 100 now.
They
so
are?
now I feel better about myself. But they're not the good ones.
Next
you only see
Fanthrax.
2 colors. It's for every.
Cocular. Yeah, you got to pay an extra $100 for each color you want to see of the rainbow.
For $700, you can see
you
the
want to
rainbow.
get just Roy J.
For 80, you could see gray.
What color, if you could eliminate from your life, would you eliminate? If you had one color and like every kind of shade of that color, you have to get rid of.
Bright yellow?
Oh, forsake you, Anya, my
Really?
special. How are you going to enjoy my...
Enter Jimmy Kimmel.
I'm just kidding.
I liked it on your special. I don't know why. Why didn't I say purple?
She'd rather you naked,
No.
Nikki.
Purple, I think is too pinkish, and I love the color pink. I would get rid of blue. I think I would get rid of blue.
Orange
Even
for
though
me.
skies,
Blue.
fuck.
Yeah, blue's everywhere.
Shit, but you can't get rid of black, and you can't get rid of gray. You can't get rid of brown. You got to get rid of like one of the Roy G. Bibs.
Orange.
Orange.
Right.
Yeah, fuck
That's
orange.
yes.
You don't
Fuck
need orange.
orange.
But
I
burnt
don't need
orange
it.
is not bad.
Oh shit, the sunsets. Okay, well, it's okay. We already decided we're getting rid of orange. All right, next Fanthrax.
Next one is from Emma.
Hi, besties. It's Emma, OG fan here. Got to see
voice.
you, Nikki, and Andrew live in San Francisco this year and meet you guys. So that was really awesome. It was
And
also
Anya
my
was right
birthday,
there.
so that was like the best birthday ever. And I corralled my friends to come with me, even though they had never listened. But they all loved it and had a great time. So that was really fun for me. When Nikki started Reddit Dump last year, she said forced orgasms, but I heard it as forest orgasms. And so me being intrigued was like, people having orgasms in the forest? That's interesting. So I download Reddit and I'm scouring Reddit for this. Come to find out, she said forced orgasms. So funny misunderstanding, mispronunciation story. Love you guys. Jack Black.
Jack Black. But that's so funny because for a while they took down forced orgasms on Reddit, and that is my porn go-to. If you want to see what I'm into, that's it. And it's probably telling you too much.
I feel like a forest and a forced is very. They go together.
I'm not kidding you. If you go to forced orgasms right now, and this was recorded probably 2 weeks ago. If you scroll deep enough, you will see up on. I just went there the other night. There is a woman tied to a tree in a forest, and she made like a fantasy. She's like, I was walking on a hike, and this man tied me up, and it was just she's doing a character, but there was a forced orgasm in forced orgasm, and it was weird. Forced orgasms disappeared from Reddit for a while. I don't know why. I think the word forced sometimes in Pornhub, I don't think they allowed the word forced. X videos, I don't think they allowed it. Hamster, X hamster, whatever. Like, there's different porn sites that will allow the word forced and others that won't.
You'll find it.
So I think they took it down for a while, and I was really sad, but now it's back up, and it's all consensually forced, so it's CF. But it is forced orgasms is the name of the subreddit that I love very much, and that girls are having a lot of good times, and they're having a lot of forced orgasms that are awesome.
Have you ever hooked up with anyone in the woods? Have you ever had tent sex?
I've hooked up with someone wearing
sex?
Abercrombie woods.
It was on a hill. Yes.
On a hill. All right.
Yeah, in Memorial Park.
In a park.
God.
Yeah.
In
was
the Bay Area.
Totally underwhelming. It's like the equivalent of beach sex or hot tub sex.
What time was this at?
11:47 p.m.
Oh, no, but it was late at night. You were in a park.
Yeah,
That's scary to me.
Yeah, it just felt stupid.
I'm
not that
fellatio in a
GGG.
park.
You're not that GGG. What did you do, Nikki? What in a park?
I gave fellatio in a park, in like in a city park.
Where?
At a bus
In
stop.
St. Louis?
It was in Los Angeles, in like Beverly Hills, I think. It was just
Wow,
like,
fancy.
and we were talking, and it was kind of like a fight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we made up, and then it just started happening, and I was like, no, we can't. And he was just like, I think you're going to. And I was like, no, I can't. And then it was just happening, and it was just like, it's thrilling because you can get arrested very easily and then charged. If it's near a school, you can like be labeled a pedophile the rest of your life. Like those are the kinds of things that you risk when you do that. So don't do that out there. Did you ever have forced sex?
Not with anyone.
Just himself in a tree.
Yeah, just alone.
I was curled up in the,
If a
the
man
middle of a
jerks off by
redwood.
himself and the tree falls, did it ever happen? I don't know.
I hope not.
I hope not either.
Oh my God. You and Bigfoot. That's
I'd
how
be
you
too
met
scared.
that's how you met that fucking guy to open for you. Bigfoot. Do you know there are people that believe Bigfoot is real?
Yes.
I was gonna write a joke about it that this guy was so hot one time. and I liked him so much that I truly heard him out about Bigfoot being real and started almost believing
That's hilarious.
That's how much.
That's how people get into
hot
cults.
this guy was.
Yes.
I'm not kidding you. I was
He probably
when
had
I
a
found out he
Bigfoot.
believed in Bigfoot. I was like, God damn it! Why does this guy have to believe in Bigfoot? Like, this ruins everything. Like, I can't marry someone that, like, my fantasy for our life. And then I got on board with Bigfoot. I was like,
can I ask
listen.
a question about Bigfoot? Do you know anything
could
about it?
happen.
Did you?
I learned a little bit about it. Yeah.
So how old is Bigfoot? Has he had kids? Because at this point,
Bigfoot is not just one Bigfoot. I mean, it is a
Okay. So it's
species
big
that
feet.
is on the human chain. Like, it's on the chimpanzee monkey chain of like humans that somewhere along the line it stopped and it's up in the Pacific Northwest among
Okay.
other places. And they've never been caught because I don't know. It just doesn't fit with
I
his
don't know. Some
story.
of those shows in Spokane, I think they were in the audience. They're the biggest motherfuckers I've ever. It's like
I really remember getting on board with it. This guy was very convincing and hot, and it was just
Okay,
it was
so
such
there's
an example of
multiple.
how much a hot guy can make you just go, yeah, I don't like my sister either, and I don't think I want to talk to her. Like, just like completely abandon who you are. All right, found it.
like make you put a wig on and go to
Final
England
thought.
or like do something like.
I'd do it anytime. Final thought.
Okay. Let's do two more because I really want to share this one. It's a very vulnerable story from Sophie.
Love a vulnerable.
Hello, friends. This is Sophie from Sweden with a story about orgasms before knowing about orgasms. When listening to Nikki talk about not having orgasms before toys, I got thinking about my first orgasm. I was like 9 or 10. It was summer at some kind of daycare type of place. The playground at this place had ropes hanging next to the swings meant for climbing, like with knots on them. I was just hanging on this rope with my legs crossed when it started to feel good, and eventually it happened. And I got terrified though. I remember running to the bathroom to check my underwear because it almost felt as if I had pissed my pants.
Yeah.
And this eventually led to me using blankets for masturbating. I twirled them up like ropes. And I remember sometimes
Full
in
circle with this
PE,
pod.
we had competitions to see who could hang on to a rope the longest. And there I was, hanging on a rope, having quiet orgasms in front of everyone. I'm in my 30s, and this is the first time I talk about this.
I love
Thank you for giving me a place to share this. I love you all. And
I love you.
Ejaculate.
I mean, I feel like I was on her podcast. That was
I
unbelievable.
cannot believe how sexy her voice was. I had chill, like still have goosebumps from listening to how ASMR that was. That was ASMR, but also sexy. I tried to black out how young you were during that story so I could enjoy it in a sexual way. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think so many people relate to humping blankets, humping ropes, humping parallel bars, and also not really understanding each one. Give them equal opportunity. Don't leave one out.
What about the uneven bars? Don't forget about that.
No, they come from a wrong side of town.
And a lot of people orgasm when they're hanging, like in grade school. My best friend in grade school used to hang
or
on
in
the
a closet
desk.
with their belt around their neck.
Wait, what?
Wait,
hanging what?
Yeah, you know, she was saying she was hanging from a rope and she started to feel good.
Yeah.
Like my best friend used to hang on a desk, like suspend herself, you know, like this.
I can't understand what you're saying.
Tom Cruise?
Oh, you can't understand what I'm saying? Sorry.
No, like hang yourself from a desk. Like what is keeping?
Like imagine your elbows are on the desk and you lean all your body weight forward and your legs, you're like
So
off
what's
the
touching
chair
her
now.
vagina then?
Nothing.
It's just the pressure and it builds up.
Yes. Well, I actually heard a technique maybe on Reddit or somewhere where leaning on things and hanging on them, like you're saying, like leaning on a table, like putting all your weight forward and probably crossing your legs in a really intense way is also would send you to that kind of place. But
guys with ropes felt great. I would climb a lot of ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be up there a while.
It's so fascinating.
And then
I
you
mean,
slide down. It was fantastic.
I'll never forget. I mean, I've said it before. I'll never forget Kirsten's front porch waiting for my parents to come get me. And we were just hanging out, like, hanging on the bars, like the railing. And there was a little, like, they're shaped like butt plugs, like the little markers at each end of it. And there was this one, and I just like sat on top of it, and it kind of hit my asshole a little bit. And I remember just being like, that feels so good that there's something wrong with me. Like, I can't ever do that again. I don't even believe in God, but it felt too good.
I wish I could see that picture
and it's
of me.
still, I'm not kidding you. I hope this doesn't, it could come back to haunt me. I'll stand by it. I enjoy that more than the other place, honestly. Like, it's a different feeling to me, but I am grateful that I have it because I do know what it feels like to have things in your vagina. It feels amazing, and
weird.
I can
you
definitely
climb that rope backwards.
But it was like, I knew at a young age where there was something special about that other place that I was like, oh no. And I don't think at that age, I mean, definitely at that age, did not think anything would ever happen back there but I just knew, don't ever do that again, Nikki. It is wrong. It feels too good. And I still feel that way about things that are too pleasurable.
As a Swedish woman now, so it actually turns people on.
I was very young. I was waiting for my mom to come pick me up at my friend Kirsten's, and I was of age, so you can enjoy the story. So
what's of age in Sweden?
Well, it's whatever you want to do in your head, but if you are jerking off to this, it is fine, and everything is legal. And so I climbed upon the banister, and it grazed my asshole, and I have to say, I was feeling things. And it sounds like I'm making fun of her, but honestly, I'm just trying to recreate how fucking hot that was.
I guarantee she's laughing hysterically.
Okay, good. I hope she's not hurt, but it was. I would really hire her to make ASMR things. And if you're not doing that already, it was, I mean, I'm literally feeling like I just wet my pants because of that story from her. I'm not kidding you. It really turned me on in some weird way, but it also made me feel safe. I'm confused. Okay, let's get to the last Fanthrax.
Okay, last Fanthrax is from Tom, who's in the UK, and he needs some advice.
Okay, Tom.
Hello, Nikki, Andrew, and Noah.
Hello,
Tom. I'm 19. I'm from the UK. Can I just say first off, I've been a fan of yours, Nikki, since I was 15, 16, which was probably way too young to be listening to what you were saying, but I feel like it's helped me a lot.
Oh.
I've literally probably listened to every single podcast you've ever made. But anyway, I'm in a bit of a dating predicament. So I'm 19, I'm gay. I've never really been able to date before because I live in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. But recently, because I've gone to university in a city, I've actually started dating guys, which is nice. I've found this one guy, we're like a month in, and I fully feel like I love him. And it's just going great. I can see a serious relationship happening here, but there's a big but.
Okay.
He's bi and only ever had relationships with girls before. And his last one lasted years, and it was really serious, and I just don't know what to think about it. All my friends are telling me to be cautious and be careful because he does seem a bit flip-floppy, and I don't know really what to do.
Okay.
Guys' take on it. Anyway, thank you.
Tom, I'm guessing just because he's British, it feels like he spells his name Thom. So Tom, first of all, thank you for listening to everything I've done. It makes me feel so good, and you just seem so sweet, and I'm so excited that you're in your first relationship. I would say to people who think that bisexual people are more of a threat to your relationship or like becoming monogamous with them than maybe if they were fully gay, fully straight, is that people are like, well, you can't be a woman for him, so he's going to need women. Well, you can't be every man for him either. So would he need every other man? So this whole argument that bisexual people are just like, cannot be reined in, not one person will ever please them is completely false and is something that people project onto you because of their own fears. That being said, you are 19. It's your first love. Chances are this ain't it. And I hate to say that to you because that is not what anyone wants to hear in their first love. But fucking treat it like it's it. Who cares? Like, I think take this guy for what he's telling you. Like, if he's being squirrely, if you're feeling like confused, that's the classic thing. If you're confused, he's not that into you. If you're not confused, he is into you. So if you're feeling that, but I think voicing these kind of concerns to him would be good. I'm not sure if your concern is that he's bisexual or that he's just kind of a little bit squirrely anyway. And I wonder if he's out to everyone in his life as a bisexual, or if he's a man who's experimenting with his bisexuality and you're maybe the first, which could be tricky. But I'm so excited for you. This is just the beginning of a lifetime of falling in love, maybe with this guy over and over, maybe with, other people. But I don't think you should shy away from dating bisexual men. I don't think it is a red flag. Anya, any thoughts?
No, I think that's great advice. The only thing is, when my friends are all telling me be careful, I want to listen to that, because when I'm in love, I tend to, it's destabilizing, it's exciting, but I'm trying to listen to my friends more and more. So that might be something to look out for, but everything Nikki said is right on. Go for it. And
Andrew, Noah?
I think you should dump him. And move on with your life. You're in a city now. You don't have to be a farmer boy anymore. No, I think
when people
Nikki's
find out
advice,
bisexual, they're like, oh.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
He's gonna need that other thing that you can't give him. And it's just not true.
I love the point out of like, there's also a million other guys that he could have, but he chose you.
Right.
Like, it makes perfect sense. And he sounds like an amazing human being who's like just like figuring out the city, and he like grew up like, in the middle of nowhere.
That's
and
so cool.
So you put so much pressure on it too.
Yes.
So don't put too much pressure on it. You could love him all you want, but just don't be easy on yourself in the relationship. Like, it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard though. Like, I never want to tell people in their 20s or teens, like, this isn't going to last forever.
Yeah.
Like, because it probably isn't. Like, statistically, it just doesn't usually work that way. And you don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that even when I was 35 with guys that I knew would not be it.
Yeah.
And my friends would be like, this is fun for now. And I'd be like, how dare you? But just be in the moment, because who knows? The world could end tomorrow and this would be your only guy. So just have fun. But I think
with you, it's
you're
like,
a
it's
guy
not like
who
he
works
also
in honesty.
Nikki, I love it's like Nikki, you're dating a guy, but he also loves himself too much. It's not like he also loves women too. It's like, no, he's just
what I don't understand what you're saying.
Like the idea of like this guy.
The guys that I've dated, I would prefer them to be bisexual
as opposed to loving women and themselves.
I'm in a poly relationship with them and themselves.
Yeah, you're in a threesome.
That does seem like if you want to be with me, you have to put up with the fact that I'm always going to love myself more than you. And when we FaceTime, I'll be looking at my own self and not see you even for a second, even though you are dyeing your eyebrows and they look like Groucho Marx and I didn't even notice the whole time we were on the phone. That really happened to me one time when I was talking to a narcissist for a really long time. He didn't notice that my eyebrows were completely black, Groucho Marx, the entire time. I answered the phone going like, hello. And we had an hour-long conversation before he even looked at me because he was such a narcissist. Which, don't we all stare at ourselves?
Did he have his glasses on?
On this, that's a good question. Did he have his Grouchos on? Thank you so much to everyone who wrote in. Could
have been colorblind
and talked. Yeah, he could have been. That's true too. Thank you so much. We will be back with more shows shortly. Very shortly. I'm still recovering from surgery, but we'll figure it all out. I will have a different voice the next time you hear me, but not too different. And
Can I
I'm going to be back with a new. What do you want to plug?
St. Louis Helium, October 6th.
Yes. October 6th,
it's
St.
a
Louis
hometown
Helium.
show, so come on out and
come out if you want to plan a trip to St. Louis. Come on down.
Yeah, please.
That'll be so fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And I'll be on tour with Eric Hutchinson September 21st through 24th. Longer sets: Boston, DC, Philly, and New York City.
Fuck yes, Eric Hutchinson's amazing too. That's if you never heard of him, like. First of all, just go to see Anya and then you can leave. It doesn't matter, but like, definitely go support those shows. A fun night out, and I will be back on tour in October. Iowa is my first dates. Get tickets now, and then we are back on the road consistently, and new tour dates coming out soon. And as always, we'll be here on the podcast. So check this out as well. Love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for waiting for me to get healed again and being patient with one podcast a week. I love you so much. Thank you for the Fanthrax. Don't be and Jack.
Mississippi.